Welcome, Facebook friends, our friends on our podcast, and those of you who are watching us from YouTube and all the other channels where the Nehemiah Entrepreneurship Community Podcast airs. Welcome to our podcast today. My name is Patrice Seg. I'm your host. Today's topic will be focused on the importance of the value of designing your purpose mosaic. I know what you're thinking. You're saying, what in the world is the purpose mosaic? You're going to find out. We're going to talk about it. And so I've invited with us here as guests, Debrah Schlaht, our training and coaching director for the Nehemiah Project, and Wendie Klem, our director for the North America region, which include Canada, Haiti, and the United States of America for the Nehemiah Project. Ladies, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Patrice.
Well, great to be here, Patrice.
This is the second time having you both here on our podcast. The first time we had you both recently, we dealt with, you were launching a Women in Business Identity and Destiny course, which you're almost halfway done or more than halfway done. And I thought it'd be good to have you guys come back to kind of give us an update in terms of how that class is going, the impact of these women. This is your first time doing this kind of class. But then I wanted to focus our attention. You'll be providing these women a purpose mosaic. And I've got mine that I want to show and display. But I want to talk about that, the importance of that. But before we do so, how is the class doing since you've launched? Tell us a bit about it. First of all, for those who are listening to us that did not watch the first podcast, what is identity and destiny, and what is the Women in Business? Kind of answer those questions first. Maybe you can start, Debrah, deal with one, and then Wendie deal with the other.
Sure. Well, let me start with Women in Business. You know, for quite a while, Patrice, we've talked about the importance of providing women entrepreneurs, business leaders, a place where they could bring their individual and unique concerns around doing business, family, church, their community, all these things that they juggle together. And so Wendie and I have been talking about this. In last December, we launched the Women in Business sort of sub-brand to Nehemiah Project. And it's grown not only from Identity and Destiny, but into other courses that we do as well, such as the Biblical Entrepreneurship Certificate course. We're looking at Business Success Accelerator, even doing a Business Success Tools seminar forum for women in business. And so it has just grown, caught fire with women around the world that have joined us. And I believe we're over we thought we would have maybe 200 women who would be part of our social network, and we've exceeded that number already. It's been incredible to see happen.
Wow. So Debrah, this initiative wasn't started just because of COVID-19. You've had this going even before COVID-19.
I sure did, Patrice. You know, it's something that I've been kind of playing around with and talking with women over many years and getting some support from others. But it really started to catch, I think, our attention and our ability to serve women through our life group that we started with. But we really began planning this November or December last year and putting the pieces together. COVID-19 is just, I don't know if I can say it was a benefit of being able to be available for women during this time. Our life group, we had chosen our devotional series out of One More Minute from Pastor Moore. And it's been incredible how those devotions each week, each Friday morning, have been covering something that relates directly to COVID-19 and our circumstances and our situations. It has blessed women both on Facebook Live as well as our Zoom group. I know it's blessed me as an individual. It's been just absolutely astounding. God has been good. He's had us prepared for a time just like this.
So essentially, you guys have different resources on empowering women, from Life Group, just for women in business, from Identity and Destiny, just for women in business, the Biblical Entrepreneurship class, just for women in business, Business Success Accelerated, just for women in business. You also have a forum on the e-community where for women in business who are part of the community to engage and interact. You also have a Facebook page, is that correct?
We do have a Facebook page as Women in Business. And many ways. We even have a WhatsApp group. We have a LinkedIn group. We have a number of social media that we're out there. Meetups, I think, is another one that we had. So a number of ways that we want to reach out. We want women around the world to be able to connect with us and be able to be served in this kind of new network and new environment that really serves their needs.
So Wendie, as a director of North America, how has this fit into your overall strategy in serving the region?
Well, when Debrah and I first started talking about it, I was just so excited because prior to coming to Nehemiah Project, I worked with a ministry that focused on helping women understand who they are in Christ and help them just understand their value. So this was a great fit for us. But for the region, our goal was to connect. It was to connect through various sources. But ultimately, our goal is to connect through the e-community. That is the place where we are looking to bring the women and link arms with them. Patrice, that's one of the reasons we have the forum there, so that we can continue to encourage them and empower them and provide practical tools for them, not just in business, but also in their relationship with Christ and how they develop that. So when Debrah and I first started talking about this, the process was going to be, a life group, and then, connecting through some social media, and then going through that process. And it really evolved from there. The more we talked about it, the more it was, well, we need to do an identity and destiny, because if she doesn't understand who she is in Christ and who God created her to be and what her purpose is, then how can she effectively run her business and do that? So then we went from there to, okay, well, now she needs to have a BE certificate class. Once she understands her value, now we want to make sure she has the tools and can set up a biblical business using biblical principles. Patrice, we are men and women. God created us for a specific purpose, right? You don't have to listen to the rest of the world. Just go to the Bible. He tells us, right? The women are the nurturers. The men are the hunters gatherers. We didn't make this up. But if we don't continue to understand that we were created for a purpose, and those skills are there for a reason, so that we can walk out the purpose God's given us. So Identity and Destiny was just an absolute wonderful fit, so it evolved. We began, how are we going to connect with them? And so it started with, Meetup and Facebook. And then Deborah's like, wait, we've got to talk to the internationals. We have to get on WhatsApp. And then, we talked with you and Poe, and you're like, oh no, we can give you a forum. It just evolved. So as of Friday, Patrice, we had over 204 women who were connecting with us socially on one of these platforms. When Debrah and I first started, we said, you know what, Lord, if we just got 200 women by the end of the year, we would just be so blessed and happy. It's been 8 weeks.
Wow.
It's been 8 weeks. And that's how come we know God's in this.
So what's drawing these women? So let's talk a bit about some of the benefits, and we're going to get to Identity and Destiny in a minute. What do you think is drawing these women to attend this Women in Business initiative? What are they getting out of it? If a woman's listening right now, she's considering wanting to be a part, what are some things that she can expect to get out of it?
Well, some of the feedback that we've gotten, Patrice, is things like, wow, it's so great to know that somebody else is feeling that way. I'm not the only one. Wow, I'm struggling with that too. And so they're kind of getting that validation part of that. Part of the life group, for example, Patrice, is we first have to strengthen their relationship with Christ. And so through, as I said, that we're using 1 More Minute by Pastor Moore through that devotional book. That's the part that we're doing. We need to strengthen her relationship with Christ. And more than anything, we need to continue to turn her face back to God. You know, again, the devotionals was just amazing. The timing, I mean, it's just been incredible. But again, instead of turning her face to the media or turning her face to what the rest of the world is saying, we are consistently turning her back to God. And sometimes as women, that's a struggle. Yeah. You know, I got to cook dinner. I've got a husband. I've got children. Now I'm a homeschool mom, some of us, and running a business. And, you know, we have a lot of things. There's that whole Proverbs 31 woman that we get, you know, caught up in. But if we can't keep just going back to God and listening to him and growing our relationship with him, the rest will take care of itself because he's taking care of us.
Debrah, what about you? What do these women get out of it?
Well, I agree with Wendie wholeheartedly. I think one of the other benefits is that, you know, we all want to work together. We want to work with men and women together. But I also know that the conversation is different. The concerns, that the ability to share from a woman's heart with other women who can understand, empathize, can give good feedback or insight is also a draw, I believe, as well. And so there are some unique ways, opportunities that women have in coming together to collaborate with one another as they want to support and uplift each other as well. And so I think that there is a place for both. We need mixed groups, but we also need to have a safe environment where with other women who understand from that viewpoint what I'm struggling with, and that they can understand the language that I'm talking about. And then as we uplift, as Wendie said, uplift and share with each other and strengthen each other through scripture and through our examples of how God has worked in our lives, been faithful to our needs. I think it also begins to help. We have women, Patrice, we have a 16-year-old in our identity and destiny group with her mother, all the way up to women who are in their 70s. And this is a great mixture of all age groups, all parts, places in a life cycle, right, that are facing difficult challenges or needs in their life, but yet coming together in a supportive environment that it's a place where we can talk and share and be able to grow as well.
Let's talk to the men, the fathers, the husbands, the brothers, the boyfriends, the pastors, and let's talk about the impact that could have on them. I know my wife is part of the Identity and Destiny class, Gina, and I've seen the benefit to her as she's participated in one of the women in business activities. So if a husband, a brother, a father is listening and they're considering, or a mother sending their daughter, their wife, their sister, you know, what benefit would be for them? Why should I send my wife? I noticed that last night a husband signed up his daughter and his wife to the identity.
Yes.
So why is it important for us as men to be enthusiastic about pushing our wives, husbands, mothers, mothers, daughters, and the like into this class, into just this program in general? We may not be able to do identity and destiny. Maybe we can do a life group, what it is, women in business.
Well, Patrice, I think one of the things is important is that she has a voice. And as a husband, as a father, you know, a brother, uncle, whatever, the men in our lives, you know, it's important that they encourage us to, one, grow in our relationship with Christ, and to walk in our purpose. Because if a woman is not walking in her purpose, you know, we've all heard the saying, if mama's not happy, nobody's happy, right? There is something to be said to that. But again, whether it's a woman or a man, when she is walking in her purpose, everything else is easier. She's happier. She's more at peace. we had our devotional this week. Don't worry, be blessed, right? And so if she's worrying less, if she's relying on God more, then she just naturally becomes more self-confident, more a stronger woman. And when she's walking in her purpose, then she is making a difference in the world. And when she's doing what God's called her to do, there's a peace about her, Patrice. And I have to say, I've seen it in Gina as well. I was thinking about that at the staff meeting, listening to her speak up in a way that I've not heard her ever speak up about. It was really beautiful to hear her being so transparent, but yet strong in stating that, and engaging with the rest of the team. So it was pretty cool to watch that. But that happens when we understand who we are and we understand what our value is. And this is why I think identity in destiny is so important, because if we don't understand our value, then we begin to devalue ourselves. And then we begin to make mistakes, and then we get angry and we get worried and we get defensive. None of those things, good things, comes out of any of that.
If I could just add, Patrice, as well, I think one of the real blessings of this curriculum that was penned by Pam and Tom Wolfe is that we recognize who we are, how we're wired, how God put us together. And sometimes we lose our identity as women. We're mothers, we're wives, we are friends, and we kind of forget or get caught up into those other roles without truly recognizing how we were unique, each of us, men and women, uniquely designed for something specific that only we can do, that God designed for us to do. So how are we put together? It's not, that I'm just bossy, right? I have a different kind of personality. I've been created for whatever that is. And for a husband or a brother or pastor, I think that helping the women in your life recognize those parts and be able to embrace them and say, how does that enhance our relationship? It's not a threat to our relationship, but how does it enhance who we are together? And how do we build upon that? I think those are important pieces that can provide confidence, as well as improved relationships in all parts of our lives.
I love it. Today I got a call from a good friend that I, kind of coach and mentor, highly influential gal in a very strategic position in the country. And from time to time, she calls me for advice and for coaching. And she had a scenario where she was up for a renewal of her contract with her company. And a statement that was made by her boss, the way she processed it was that it's because I'm a woman, right? And so before she dealt with it, she called and said, Patrice, let me run this by you, give me some feedback here, and she was considering, should I go legal? Should I pull the female card? Should I, and so forth. And we talked through it. And I said, I hear why you're processing it that way, and it could be that. I said, but if you go there, then you unleash all other kinds of issues. I said, but why don't you just process like you a person? Just process it as a person said, whether you're a woman or not a woman, what that person said is not appropriate. Mm-hmm. Go from that angle. That way you're not pigeonholed into this that you're using where you're defensive, right? Mm-hmm. And we talked through it, and I said, and then she had a hard time going and said, let me give you an example. As a Black man, I'm conscious of the fact that sometimes people make statements to me or whatever because I'm Black. However, if I always feed into that, then I begin to be defensive and take a posture of one who's been attacked, and that you want to be on the offense. And at the end of our conversation, she said, "Thank you so much." So let's talk about that and this process you're doing about empower women. How important is it as women are empowered to not be empowered to process everything as a woman in terms of, you know, I'm less than, I'm taken advantage of, or whatever, however society, but rather that, yes, I'm a woman, but I'm being empowered to live at my fullest potential, you know, because the danger could be that we start, it's like having a black club, right? It's good, but the danger could be I start processing everything as a black person,
Right,
versus a person. Could you speak to that?
I would love to, Patrice. And then if that's okay, Deborah, I'll start. You know, Patrice, the important thing here is you need to understand who God created you to be, right? That's the end of that statement. God didn't create me to be a color of my skin. He didn't create me to be, you know, anything other than the purpose he set before me. I need to be a woman in order to do the purpose that he has set before me. It's just one of the things that's in my toolbox, if you will, right? And so we have to start, which is why we started with Identity and Destiny, to understand who we are in Christ. What are our gifts, skills, and talents? One of the things that on our forum last week that we had for the US, Pastor Moore said something that has just really stuck with me. And he said, until we start seeing each other as human beings, we've got a problem no matter what we have. And for me, that's what this comes to. As soon as we start realizing that God created us all with specific gifts, skills, and talents, he's created each one of us for a purpose. The experiences that we've had in our life were there, they shaped that purpose. You know, the last couple of weeks, that's what we've been working in Identity and Destiny, and in understanding your passion and your fears and embracing those events. Whether you're a woman, a Black man, you know, a Hispanic, it doesn't really matter, because we're human beings and God's created us for a specific purpose. That's what we have to be addressing. We just happen to put in a Women in Business forum so that we are collectively addressing certain issues in a safe environment. But we are still coming back to, what did God create you to do? What is your purpose?
Good. Deborah?
Yeah, and I would just say, you know, this oftentimes what this is about the fears that we have, the beliefs that we hold, the blocks that the challenges that come up in our lives that we allow to take precedence, and to be able to look at the experiences that we may have had in the past. You may have been judged because you were a Black man in a certain neighborhood. You know, people may look at me and say, you are a woman of a certain age and, you know, you're overweight. And therefore that they're putting a limit on who I am and what I'm capable of doing. Either I allow that to happen to me, I accept it, and I accept that challenge to be put in front of me, or I look and say, wait a minute, who am I in God's eyes? How does he see me? How does he see that a woman of a certain age that may be overweight, that has experiences or gifts and talents that he's put into me that I can use? And how do we overcome those? How do I look at you or Wendie or others? You know, Patrice, you and I have worked together for a long time. I don't think that you've ever looked at me as an old white woman, and I've never looked at you as a Black man. And I think that's in our relationship. I think we could be could talk about that. But rather, who we are working together towards our common assignment that the Lord's given us to do, and how do we complement each other in order to make that happen? So I think some of that is that we've got to replace those lies and those limitations within ourselves and see ourselves through God's eyes and what is He's asking us to do. And how do I see others as well?
I love it. So if a woman is watching right now or listening, and or a husband, a brother, a mother, an uncle, cousin, whatever, and they want to sign up, sign their wives, girlfriend, daughters up, where do they go to be a part of this women in business movement?
Well, if they're looking to sign up for the Identity and Destiny class, we have one that starts tomorrow. It's not too late to sign up. You'll need to go to the e-community, find a class, and Identity and Destiny, Women in Business, and you can register there. You want to remember that we are offering a 50% off discount through the end of May. So you want to make sure you use Recovery 2020 in the discount code so you can get the class for 50% off. This is kind of our way of helping those through this time to continue to learn and grow, but we understand some of the financial burdens and we want to be able to support that as well.
Awesome. So go to Nehemiah eCommunity, right, .com, NehemiahECommunity.com, and it may be posted right there on your Facebook page or your podcast, whatever.
It is Women in Business Life Group. It's there as well.
Yeah.
You'll find it posted on there.
Now, so let's talk about why we're here today. So you've got this class, Identity and Destiny, that you've been going on, and there's this. So at the end of the class, the students, your women, get this purpose mosaic. They're going to be the first one to get it anywhere around the world, right?
Right.
But I want to look at some of the content first before we get to the purpose mosaic. So so you have different steps that you take them through. It's called 7 Steps of Purpose. I'm going to state each step, and you're going to just tell me what's the outcome there, all right? So I'm going to start with you, Debrah. So step 1, how you are wired. How are you wired? What's the expectation there?
Well, here you go through a DISC profile to understand what your dominant personality style is. How do you communicate? What's your behavioral style?
Wow, awesome. And then step 2, Wendie, what makes you tick? What's the expectation there?
Well, they begin to go through a series of tests, starting with what are your core values? You know, they start understanding, you know, what's really important to you.
Wow. And then once they know that, then step 3, Debrah, is what is your passion? So what's the expectation there?
Yeah, it's taking your passion, that your passion doesn't define your purpose. Your passion is about understanding the underlying needs that helps you to that leads you to what your purpose is.
You guys know this stuff. They're so succinct. I love it. When somebody knows what they're talking about, they're real to the point. When they don't, they go all over the place. You guys are good.
Yeah.
By the way, I didn't warn them about what I'm going to talk about. So they're real good. And then step 4, Wendie, what's stopping you?
That's all about your fears, understanding what they are and recognizing them.
Wow. And then step 5, Debrah, can you hear God speaking?
Yeah, this is okay. Now that we've got the basics, well, steps 1 through 3 are kind of that analytical understanding, getting to know the check marks and answering the questions. Step 4 is that bridge between that analytical, understanding what's stopping us. But now we're getting into hearing from God. And these next chapters are really tuning in, giving us straight instruction about how to listen to God and to get those answers about our purpose.
Wow. And then Wendie, step 6, can you be still and listen?
My favorite part, Patrice. You know, we get busy and we don't stop and listen. And this is all about how are you going to do that? Wow. Practically.
Wow.
Not just talking about it.
And then step 7, Debrah, who am I and why am I here?
Well, this is the whole thing, putting it all together, taking all the parts, your DISC, your reliance scores, your purpose, or your core values and your spiritual gifts, your passion, and hearing what God is saying. Now you're putting your mosaic together. I call it, we're really introducing who we are to each other. I'm getting to know who Debrah is. And I do that through, I'm introducing myself. For some people, we don't recognize this whole picture. And now the mosaic comes together and we begin to see what our purpose and is, what God has planned for us, what our identity, our destiny, our assignment, and our purpose.
Wow. Now, so Facebook friend, YouTube friends, and podcast friends, I'm going to show you guys my purpose mosaic. And so you can kind of see, as you can see here, let me kind of move stuff around so you don't see all my my computer with all the stuff that I got going on there. Look at that. So you got my disc profile, my resilience, my top 5 core values. You've got my dominant spiritual gifts, my passion, my underlying need. And then here is my purpose statement, right? My identity, my destiny, my current assignment. Just so you know, for those who are curious, my disc profile, I'm influencing and dominant. My resiliency, self-efficacy, optimist, impulse control, emotion regulation. My top 5 core values: simplicity, diversity, family, growth, love. Dominant spiritual gift, exhorter. Passion, empowering individuals and families. Underlying need, to see people fulfill their fullest potential. My identity, to conform to the image and likeness of Christ and to be a witness for him. My destiny, use entrepreneurship as a tool to empower the body of Christ and seek and save the lost. My current and next assignment: entrepreneur, coach, trainer, author, and preacher. Of course. So guys, you know me. As you see my purpose mosaic, anything surprises you?
Nope.
Nope.
That's like my picture right there, isn't it?
It is. It is.
It is who you are, Patrice. And here's the amazing thing about it. You live it out. There's never, you're not confused about who you are or what you should be doing. Every day, you know, when you get up, how you're serving God. And that's, and you did this, I think, several years ago. It's just that you put this together, right? That's right. And so if we're ever confused or we're not sure, what this does is really spell it out for us. If we put in the time and the effort and we do what God asks us to do, he will reveal it. And now as you get up, I mean, nobody can keep up with you, Patrice. We try, but we can't. Because you know where you're going and what you're doing and how God wants to use you. And it's right here.
And as these ladies complete this class with you guys, this is what you guys, this is kind of, beside their certificate of completion, they get to walk home one of these.
That's exactly. Think about what they share that with their family.
Yeah.
Wow.
Think if a whole family goes together through this course and they understand each other and that they can support and move each other in the right direction, hold each other accountable to it. Wow, families would be stronger than ever.
Wendie, you getting a little excited there.
I am, Patrice. One of the things that we have a challenge, and I probably as much or more as most, is the word no. You know, and women generally have a challenge with using the word no. And here's what this does for me, Patrice. The question is, should I do something? If it's not in alignment with this, then the answer is no.
Wow.
You know, when I understand, that makes sense.
Wow. So you're truly right, and that's how I make decisions. So guys, I mean, I'm going to frame mine, because even though I took Identity Destiny years ago, but when this came out, you know, for me, I wanted to use this as I went through my book and kind of pull all my stuff together and created mine. So this is mine. If you want yours, sign up for that class if you're a woman. But Wendie, people may be watching and saying, look, I want one of those, but I'm a man. So anything for men?
We do. We have another class that will be starting in June that is open to men and women. We are actually encouraging everyone to take this class. You know, Patrice, there's nothing wrong with the husbands and wives coming and doing this together.
That would be neat. That
Now,
would be neat.
I know that you and Gina are talking about couples in business. I'm going to throw that out there because I'm pretty excited about that. But
Yes.
imagine as a husband and wife, when you can see this and understand this about the person you're closest to, things make sense when you see it spelled out like this. The other part of that, Patrice, is just imagine when you see Gina's, you can encourage her when she feels like she's stumbling off of this path.
You just gave me an idea. I think after we launch our Couples in Business Life group, I think we may do an Identity Destiny Life class just for couples.
Absolutely. Because you can encourage, and she can encourage you, because if she begins, and we all do, if she begins to veer outside of what God's called her to do, here's where you can encourage her.
Yeah. Wow. So I'm going to frame mine and put it right on my wall over there so that I have it right here with me. This is neat. So, wow, what a gift. So again, if they want to get in this, they have a class coming up tomorrow. They can still enroll, right?
Yep.
And Wendie, where do they go to enroll?
They go to nehemiahecommunity.com, find a class, and it's Identity and Destiny, Women for Business. By the end of the week, they will see the next class for the open class for men and women. It'll be on there as well. I encourage them to be sure and register before the end of the month so that they can take advantage of the Recovery 2020 50% off discount.
So 2 more questions for you guys, ladies. The first one is, give me a success story, and I want each of you guys to give me one, kind of a life or a person that has been impacted by this course so far that you say, you know what, so and so John Doe got really, and here's what happened to them. Wendie, let me start with you.
So we're going to call her Susie. When Susie took the class, she took it kind of as an encouragement for me. She was kind of struggling and a little all over the place with what she felt she was called to do. Since she started the class, and we're about just over halfway through, she has set up her business. She has a legal entity now. She has opened up got her business license, and she is very clear on what she's doing. And so much so that she is also signed up to become a licensed facilitator and teach Identity and Destiny. And it is now part of her offerings for her business. But she is literally giddy because she knows exactly what she needs to be doing. And she's not spending time on a bunch of stuff that just gets her down a rabbit hole.
I love it. Clarity of purpose and action. By the way, Debrah, Ruth says hello. Ruth is watching you right now on Facebook.
Hey, Ruth. Ruth's from Nairobi. And I'm going to use, for my example, a student that from Nairobi that is part of a family business and something that she is passionate about. She participates in it, but it's not really what she felt like she was designed to do. And as she went through Identity and Destiny, she began to get clarity. Now she's going through the BE Executive Program, and that's how she took Identity and Destiny, is through that program. But she has recognized that there is a second business idea that she's always wanted to do, and that's what she's pursuing as part of her BE course. And she feels that she has been released. She has some freedom. She's done the family business because it was expected of her. She had the skills and abilities to do it. But her real desire, the thing that she was really built to do, was this other business idea that she's been kind of playing at. Now she's going to build it. And she's excited about it. And she's enrolled in one of our trainer certification courses. She's going to be teaching our courses to others there in Nairobi. It's very exciting to see the eyes wake up and the mind come alive, and just the excitement, enthusiasm exude from these women.
Wow. And we do want to thank Pam and Tom, who are the creative Identity and Destiny,
that's right,
for the good work they've done and how and the fact that they gifted this to Nehemiah for us to continue to do this around the world. Ladies, we've come to an end. So there are women and men listening right now and watching this podcast from all over the world. We are in COVID-19, and many of them, as countries are moving into post-quarantine, there are various struggles and concerns and so forth. What's your advice? How can they apply what they've learned here today in walking out their post-quarantine season? Let's start with you, Debrah.
Well, when we started this, Patrice, I'd mentioned to you, I think it's an awesome opportunity that we were chosen to be alive at this time, that God knew at the beginning of time began that we would be here, that there was a role for us to play. And so what is that? This can be a time of discovery, a time of going deeper into God's heart and mind for us if we apply ourselves. We're all the other side is out there. The Lord's already prepared the way. Are we going to be prepared? Are we going to know who we are in Him, what His assignment is for us to do? Are we prepared for those opportunities? So I know it's tough, and I know for many people they're wondering, whether they'll have food for tomorrow or not. And I don't want to minimize that, but I am filled with anticipation and enthusiasm for what the future may be, and how we've been elected to be a part of that and to be leaders there. So if you have questions, join one of the classes, become part of it now, and get on fire for God and what He has for your life.
Wow, that is awesome. Wendie, what's yours?
Well, Patrice, I think during this season, it's important to continue to seek God's will and continue to understand His will for us during this time, because he has a plan for each one of us during this season. None of it's by accident. And the other thing is there's somebody waiting for us to do what God's asked us to do.
Amen.
And we have to do that. And it's funny, the story of, when Jesus said, throw your nets over the boat, that keeps coming up for me. It's like the fourth time in like 3 days. But again, the Lord could have put all the fish in the boat, but He didn't. He told them to cast your nets. He told them to do something. Okay, well, we have an opportunity now to do something. What is the Lord telling you to do? And are you going to do it?
Wow. And they're going to prepare you to do it too. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this was great. Wendie Klem, Debrah Schlaht, thank you so much, ladies. And thank you for what you're doing, empowering women around the world, and for what this have done for my own wife, as she has discovered and clarified her own purpose in walking out her identity and her destiny. And thank you, because of your initiative, we created this purpose mosaic that now I have one, and many others will have one as well, that allows them to be able. When do your students start using it? Is it next week, the following week? When do they get?
Well,
how many?
we would hope to have it last Friday, but we're gonna introduce it this Friday at class.
Oh, wow.
And they're gonna be able to start filling theirs out and get ready for graduation in a few weeks.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah. Well, with that, I hope you've enjoyed our podcast, and I highly encourage you, if you've not yet taken Identity and Destiny or joined the Women in Business initiative, the life group, the classes coming up and so forth, visit our website, nehemiahecommunity.com. There you can find all kinds of information about the Women in Business. They have a Facebook page, they have a WhatsApp group, they have a forum. So there are all kinds of ways you can engage with Wendie and Debrah in this initiative. Of course, all fails, just email our office. Somebody will get in touch with you and plug you in. Well, with that, let me leave you with this. May the Lord bless you. Mm-hmm. And may the Lord enable you to steward those talents He's placed under your care.
Yes, exactly.
And do it in such a way that one day you can hear those wonderful words. Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. He'll not make you rule over much. God bless you. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia.